Good morning and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast Market Rundown with Chip Nellinger. Chip, man, looks like everything kind of went on a tear yesterday.
It did, especially the beans, man. They're up one day, down the next. We've had a pretty big range in these beans this week. We've had 40, 50 cent range so far, and it's all about, what is going to happen with these trade talks. The best of what I can get out of it is that meeting is happening Saturday. And so we'll see the Sunday night trade and Monday day trade could be really interesting next week based on what comes from that, those trade talks. So the market's kind of hopeful. Earlier in the week, we had some big selling pressure in beans. Monday they were down, 21, 22 cents, came roaring back, kind of gained 10 of that back to the next day. We're up 14, 15 cents yesterday. So we've had some big swings in this thing, and you're going to continue to see that depending on what happens and what the news is from these trade talks at the G20 summit in Argentina. And, we'll see. Stay tuned. It could get really interesting in here. Other news is pretty quiet. We kind of stabilized the crude oil market for now. There's also an OPEC meeting coming up, and that's going to be interesting. I believe that's this weekend as well. So next week, you're going to have a lot of news to chew on. There really doesn't, nothing about our crop size or anything. It's all about political stuff with OPEC, with trade talks with China. And this thing could get really interesting here next week.
Yeah. So yesterday's run up, all around speculation around the meeting. Was that really what was driving that?
Yeah. So in the bean market, the funds have a pretty large short position built up. And anybody that sold this earlier in the week, when that market reversed and turned around, they exited, at least from the spec side. So you've got a lot of money flowing in and out of the market based on tweets and news stories and comments from different trade reps and government officials. And it's a confusing deal because, one person in Washington will talk tough and say, no, we're probably not going to get anything done. And 20 minutes later, somebody else will talk and say, yeah, we're real hopeful that something's going to get done. And so it's really hard. It's hard to gauge and hard to trade a market like that. And it just causes these big swings. So if there is something positive out of it, you get these funds wanting to get out of their short position, you could really run beans up. You could tack 60, 70 cents on beans in a course of a couple days, but it's going to take some good news out of that thing. Bad news, if those talks fail or, both sides leave and, take a hardline stance, they could really hit this bean market too. So I don't know how you trade that. You from a producer standpoint, you need to have offers in above the market for sure. We're going to get at least $1.65 on half the crop. Next week, they're supposed to announce whether we get it on the other half of our bean crop. And so if you push this market up, with good yields and, the tariff payment, it really deserves a close look and locking some profit in. And then next year, I think the high yesterday was right around $9.40 new crop November beans. And you get those up north of $9.50, and we just think you really have to take a close look at getting a start out there for your 2019 bean production. So maybe some things to do. It could be a quick spike up and then back lower. And you got to have offers in. You got to have a plan to take advantage of this volatility.
Yeah. Well, I just got my alert here for the morning. It looks like corn, both on December 18 and 19, both are down 1.5 to 1.25. So it looks like we're starting the day off.
Yeah, we had a good day yesterday, and just kind of giving a little bit of a back here in the overnight. This thing, as you get into the end of the week, is going to get a little choppy, based on our nervousness around these trade meetings, and we may be getting more and more comments the closer we get to that as well. So today, tomorrow, and for sure Sunday night could be extremely interesting based on what we hear out of Argentina.
Yeah. Okay. S&P, Dow Jones, both were up big yesterday too. So how'd that affect the cattle market?
Yeah, cattle have been pretty quiet here. They just haven't done much. The hog market's had some big swings. We kind of hit the hog market earlier in the week, and obviously this China thing is going to be a major implication there for hogs. See if pork's in the equation, if there is any a type of agreement or framework for an agreement. So beef could be there as well. I mean, we don't talk much about that. It seems to be focused on beans and pork, the old pork and bean trade, but there could be other products there as well. It could be some beef. It could be U.S. corn, potentially, sorghum for sure, maybe cotton. There's a lot of things that could be in the mix if there is some sort of trade agreement. So it could very definitely affect our livestock markets and will undoubtedly affect the hog market because they're such a big buyer of pork products from us, or have been in the past, and hopefully will be in the future. So it's definitely huge implications in our livestock markets as well. But other than that, the cattle market has been pretty quiet, holding its own, waiting on some cash trade this week. And we had a friendly cattle on feed report a week ago that's given us good support. But we just can't seem to get over the hump and really put a big rally in either. It's pretty nasty weather around, part of the plains with some snow and ice and blizzard-like conditions for a couple of days here earlier in the week, and it's one of those winters shaping up. So if we struggle with that through the winter, that's going to definitely affect gains and feed conversion, and could be supportive. But we'll have to see how this weather holds out deeper into winter.
Right on. All right, Chip. Well, you're in Kansas City today, so if guys want to reach out to you and learn a little more about Blue Reef Ag and Marketing, or work on a plan they might be putting together for 2019, how would they do that?
Yeah, best way is just call our office at 309-550-7213. We'd love to chat with you. It seems like the markets are dead right now, but I think what it's going to be is an exercise in patience. You got to have a plan. You got to have offers working above the market. And, if you don't, you could miss a quick spike up, and we're back lower and we're scratching our heads. So we'd love to chat with you. Just give us a call.
Right on, Chip. Well, you take care of yourself. I'll talk to you on Sunday.
Hey, it should be really interesting Sunday.
Yeah, it should be.
We may get some good viewers, and a lot of interest Sunday, because it could be a wild one.
Yep, absolutely, Chip. Well, take care of yourself. Safe travels, and we'll see you on Sunday.
All right, thanks.
See.